There we go. So I know that they have done the webinars or the wrap sessions. So Jason, have you done that? I'm just curious, have you done that yet?
No, I haven't done that yet.
Do you have
And
a time and everything set up, or?
I never got anything back. I thought I had a time, but I just never got anything back.
Oh, okay, so you did email her?
Yes.
Okay, okay, so just, yeah, so maybe reach out to her again, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be, so I don't think it should be too busy for them right now. This is kind of a good time. And I also did warn them that because I have your class, but then I also have my other class. So I'm sending a lot of students. So they've been sending me emails every time someone goes to a webinar or a wrap session. And then Jason, if you can't get into actually meeting with them, then of course you can do the, where is that? Oh yeah, this on the sign up to locate the articles. There is a thing where you can just sign up for the a webinar. And so this might be, if one of these fits into your schedule, this might be good. But this is also a choice too. So if, of course, it's better if you can meet, personally with one of the librarians, but you can also watch the recording here in a pinch. And then I was talking to, maybe it was Brianna last week or somebody about doing both and doing the wrap session and one of the webinars and seeing, which one was better. But I'm kind of curious about how these are going to go. So they've been doing wrap sessions for years, and I've always, not required, but encouraged my students to do them. But then we also have time in the lab where, I can sort of help you, although I'm not as good as the librarians. But this is the first semester that they've had these webinars. And so I'm just really curious about how they work and if, you're getting enough out of that. Okay, so the first thing is really just the kind of the prompt or the overview, just summarizing the assignment for the research paper. So the way that I'm going to do this, and sometimes I've done this for my face-to-face classes, and sometimes I've just required it all together. But I think that this is, it's just a lot more manageable this way, and I think this is going to be a lot easier for us to just do it piece by piece. So, the research paper, this 8 to 12 page research paper, that is part of English 1A requirements. There is this legal document that has because English 1A is a class that's accepted, in every university. So there's these legal requirements of what the classes has to have. One of them is we're supposed to be reading a whole book, which we're gonna do that in a few weeks. But the other one is that we have to write this 8 to 12 page research paper. Now, when it's 8 to 12 pages, that means that the minimum is supposed to be 8 pages. So I've broken it down in these different sections into about the number of pages that you should have. It doesn't necessarily have to be exactly like this, but the goal here, or really the requirement is, and if you're like a page or two short, I am going to ask you to write more. So try to aim for this at least. So for the introduction to be about 2 pages. For the problem section, that's where, so the introduction is basically giving a lot of background about the topic. You can also talk about social justice in general. So that's probably where you want to start, is just a definition of social justice, explaining that. That's going to be like your really super broad, general topic. And then you narrow it down a little bit more. And you're really going to explain kind of the overall issues. And then you really narrow it down, that last, few sentences to your really specific topic or thesis statement. because we're doing this in like a 3-week succession, sometimes, what normally would happen is you would write your introduction and then you might do a little more research and you might, slightly change your thesis, for example, or, maybe shift your topic, hopefully not change it totally, but maybe shift your topic a little bit. I would like to try to avoid that as much as possible. So, once you turn in your section 1, I will give you a grade on it. And then I don't want you to have to do it over again or have to redo it over again. So, once you do your section 1, then I'm going to say, that's it. I mean, unless you really, really want to, you're just really, because sometimes what happens is someone picks a topic and then they get into it and then they're excited about it at first and then they just it's just not working. It just, they don't understand it. It's too much. And then they might change. But, other than something like that, where it's just, you're just, just can't do it, I will just try to encourage you not to change your topic and kind of stick with this. It's just going to be a lot easier. So the outline and the thesis statement is really going to be important because once you get that outline and your thesis statement kind of set, then I'm hoping that you can just stick with that and follow that, use that as kind of like a guide for the rest of the sections. Okay. So section 1 really is like the background information about your topic. Also, why you chose that topic. So if there's something personal that you can talk about or something, that like it's the way that it affects your life, like for example, a lot of students who choose to write about immigration, they or their parents are immigrants. And so it's just a real, personal topic for them. It doesn't necessarily have to be something so profound, but if you can connect it to your life and write about that, for like a half a page, that's ideally what we want to do. Yeah, so for this, it's going to be 2 pages of introduction. So you probably most definitely are not going to have just one long paragraph. It's going to be at least 2 paragraphs, maybe 3. So thinking about, how you want to organize that, and that's something that, that you're going to deal with in your outline when you do your outline. So we'll look at that in just a second. Okay, and then the problem section, that is really just describing the problem. You're just talking about, getting all the information. This is going to be probably mostly quotes and summaries and paraphrases. So it's like the information that you found, you're going to be, writing that a lot. Now you still do need to organize it in an essay form. So what that means is that every paragraph that you have, you are going to make sure that it's focused about some issue or subtopic of your topic, and that you have a topic sentence that you have written yourself, and then you use the quotes to back those up. Okay, so that's probably the trickiest part right there. So think about your I say here arguments, but they could also be like just aspects of the problem that you want to describe. You're really trying to argue that this is a problem. That is what you're trying to argue. So whatever topic you think of, you can imagine that there's a person on the other side who is saying, oh, we don't need to worry about that. That's no big deal. Everything's fine as it is. So
is this
yeah.
where answering the research question happens?
Yes, unless your research questions could also be about solutions. So probably that's true. I mean, but your research questions could be about, just like the history of the problem. In that case, it'd be about the introduction. So maybe the answer is it depends, but probably mostly. This is probably like the meaty part, right? The most part where you have most of your research in there. Okay. in that part. So does that kind of make sense, Brianna?
Yeah, I think so. I started looking up things to research, but they were very specific to my research problem. And I realized that the whole paper is just about the wider topic and not necessarily just my research question. So
Can you
that's where
give
I'm
me,
gonna
yeah,
put
can
it.
you give me an example? What's your topic again?
Women's rights.
Okay, and so what were the topics of the articles that you found?
Well, my research question was about the case of Carrie Buck and her forced sterilization as like a Supreme Court case, and how that affects um, sterilization of women after that case, and like how that impacts women. And I was like, okay, I found like 15 articles about that, but not about the wider issue of women's rights. So is that an introduction?
Yeah, so maybe if you could broaden it and talk about like reproductive rights, and then use her case as kind of like an example. I think that might be more manageable, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So, you know, her case could be a big part of what you talk about, because it kind of shows, you know, the state of reproductive rights for women in the US, but then it won't limit you to just having to only talk about her. I think that might be a little bit more manageable.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I was like, this might be too specific for like an entire paper. Okay.
Yeah, okay. And then on the solutions part now, depending on what the problem is, the solutions can be really specific or they can be really general. So like, for example, I know like one person is already doing about the minimum wage. So a simple solution to the problems of minimum wage being too low is to Congress to pass a law, you know, $15 minimum wage or whatever, and then that's it. I mean, you know, you can maybe write like 3 sentences about that. It's probably not enough. So this is where you have to kind of start to, you know, maybe think about some of like the reasons behind some of the solutions, and really get into some of the, you know, like what actually could be done. And you can talk about it in terms of what, you know, people like us in general could do. You know, things like, you know, protesting or calling your congressman, or you know, running for office or something like that. Or it could be you know, something where you can say what the government could do. I mean, you could have a combination of those kind of things. But sometimes the solution section, you're not going to be able to get 3 full pages out of it. And then in that case, it's better to kind of make up the time up in this problem solution or problem section. The problem though, doing this in this order, is that you don't necessarily know, you know, you just finish your problem section and you think, oh yeah, I could easily write 3 pages about the solutions, but then you can't. And so it, you know, so you may have to, when you turn in the solutions section to get it up to the 8 pages, you may have to also add you know, some more of the description of a problem, which is, it's fine. No problem on that. Also, the way that I interpret the 8 page, you know, the 8 page is that the works cited page counts. Okay. So your works cited page should be an extra page. So that means the works cited page is a page, which it should be. And that means that this really is more like 2 pages. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. I mean, aim for 3 so you have more, but just, you know, keep that in mind that you do have that cushion of the works cited page. Okay, and then let's see here. So this is some just information about what the works cited page is going to be. This is just a, you know, simple, what is this even about? Oh my gosh, looks like global warming or something is the topic here. But, you know, this is just to show you what it should look like. So far we have done really short works cited pages where you only had like 1 or 2 sources for your whole essay, but now you're going to put them all together and you're going to have at least 6, right? So probably, so you're going to include everything from your annotated bibliography. And you shouldn't really have to do anything to prepare that. Once you turn in your annotated bibliography, all you're going to do is just copy those, the citation entry part, and then don't copy the paragraph that's underneath it. And just make a list and then put them in alphabetical order. Make sure that they're, double spaced, hanging indent, blah, 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 all of that. It is really important. And I talk about the works cited page as soon as possible. And I want to just keep reminding you about that. Don't forget about it, because this may not be much of an issue because we're doing everything, digitally, you're at home doing everything. But a lot of times when students are searching for articles, maybe they go to the library on campus and then they find a good article and they print it. And then they kind of lose, the source. They don't know how to make the source. And then at that point, it's kind of a lot of work to put it back together. But when you are finding your database articles, and this is one of the good advantages about using those databases, that and I assume that the librarians are showing you this. Tell me if they're not, but in the webinars and the wrap sessions. But basically, there's just a button that says Cite, and you just find it. It's like there's buttons like up at the top. You can email it to yourself. You can print it. And then there's usually one that says Cite. And so if you click that, it will give you just the citation. It will just automatically open it up, and just make sure that you have that if there's a choice that you choose MLA over APA. Usually, those are the 2 main ones, and APA is sometimes a little more common, so that might be the default. Just make sure that you're on MLA, and then you just copy that. And that's what you're using for your annotated bibliography, of course. And then you can also just use it for this. And then if you do end up Googling and you use, after you found your 6 database articles, if you do end up using websites or web pages, then you should use either EasyBib or this citation machine. And basically this is free. So there's tons of ads and, kind of like stuff that you need to figure out. You do not have to create an account for this, but if you're choosing a website, again, you have to kind of deal with these ads. So you can just take, let's see what happens here. Okay, so here's this. Copy this, see what happens. And sometimes, oh, it didn't work. So sometimes it works, sometimes not, probably because that's not a good, okay. So this is where you can manually enter it, and it helps you because you just, oh, this is from this article. This is probably the last one I did the example on. And then you put the author, put all the information there, put the title of the website, it kind of prompts you. And then you put the URL there, and then, let's see here. Oh, it's not gonna, let's see. Oh, it's not going to let me do it. But anyway, it will. Oh, yeah, here it is right here. So I didn't put all the information that I had, but this would be, what is that? Oh, there's missing info. Yeah, so basically it just makes it right here, and then you can copy it. You can also copy the in-text citation. So that's, oh no, you cannot, you have to upgrade. So that just means like the part that's in parentheses is what that means. And on that one, because I didn't put an author on there, it would just be the title of the article. Okay. Just skip through this one. Okay, so we are gonna do conferences next week. And I think these will work. I hesitate because, like I was saying, my son is in basketball and they're starting basketball practice up again. And so I'm not like their scheduled changes. I haven't like got it like straight in my head, but I will let you know. But yeah, just sign up for one of these, and we're gonna do the same thing that we did before. I'm hoping that you'll have your outline finished. And so we can really look at your outline and your thesis statement. So your thesis statement should be kind of guiding what you do, and then I can help you set up your outline, all the different pieces, and then at that point it's your job to just kind of go through and make sure that you have the information for each of the pieces. If you don't have the information in your existing articles, then that's where you can look elsewhere, or maybe even change your outline a little bit. But the outline should be a big help for you. I hope that it will anyway. Okay, and then to help you to do the outline, we're sort of doing a backwards outline or like a deconstruction of a research paper. So first we've got this outline that I think, I don't think this was from my students. I think this is something that I made. So it just, what this means is this is could be a guide for you, but you don't have to follow this exactly. Okay, so you can see I've got like this introduction section, and then the problem section, and then the solution section. Of course, that needs to be there. You do need to have a thesis statement. You do need to have kind of like, some background information. Now here, I don't have any details here. The more details that you can put in here, the better. So if you can give me some background, and then you can actually go down and say like what in the history of, racial discrimination are you gonna be talking about? Do you have specific stories? Are you talking about like the civil rights movement or the end of slavery, or like specifically what you're talking about? If you can kind of summarize, what you're going to say about why it's important, put your thesis statement. The problem section, again, remember you're trying to convince your reader that this is a problem. So think about someone who doesn't believe that it's a problem. And in fact, you could even put a counter argument in this section too, if you wanted to. Maybe I'll go back and add that, because that would make sense for some topics. It would make sense, right? Someone saying, for this topic, like, oh, we are in a post-racial society, and, we had a Black president, so nobody's racist anymore. We don't have to do anything about it. That would be a counter argument to this. And, so I could say, some people say this, and then I can come in with maybe like some statistics or some facts that show how that's not true, actually. So the solution section here is about different solutions. So here is something that the government can do, pass a law. I'm going to counter argument about that. Some people think that, so basically what this is saying is this is not a good solution to pass a law, because you can't change people's minds by passing a law. So that's the counter argument to that solution. And then a better solution is education and people having movement. So those are better solutions. So that's what I would, if I was going to be writing this, that's what I would say. This would be, some people say this, but this is true. And then this is a better solution, and this is an even better solution. Okay. Now the conclusion part, this should all be in that final section. Okay, so the conclusion. So your conclusion could kind of be like your best solution, or why your solution is one of your solutions is the best solution. For this particular case, I've identified here you know, 3 solutions. Of course, there are probably many more. I don't even think I did any research on this, so I'm just writing this off the top of my head. But you could, you know, maybe write about these 3 solutions, but that might not be true for your topic. So there might just be one solution. Okay, and maybe there's many different aspects of the solution. Some are good, some are bad. So you need several paragraphs to write about it. You may have all bad solutions. So there may, you know, some of these problems are not easy to solve, right? I mean, racism, if it could be solved easily, it would already be solved. And it's not, right? So there's probably no like clear cut, like, yes, this is the best solution. There's gonna be some problems and issues with every solution. And so that's really what you can be exploring here in the solution section, is kind of like, you know, what are some things that we could do? What are the problems with those? And then when you start writing them out, you can kind of, like I said, you can kind of prioritize them. Say, this solution, it's not going to work. This solution is pretty good, but this is the best solution. And then you can follow up with a short conclusion about that. Okay, so that's for the outline. This is a research paper that was written by one of my students last fall. And so, and it's pretty clear. It has all of the parts. And I think that it's going to be easy-ish to, you know, although it's not perfect, but it's going to be easy to write an outline about it. So you're going to just read through this, okay? You can find the thesis statement, you can find the solutions, you can find, or sorry, the problems, you can find the solutions. Oh, that looks like maybe a counter argument, maybe. So that's what I'm hoping that you'll be able to do is, oh yeah, and it's only 6 pages, a little short, is to make this, the information in this essay, but put it in this format, okay? And then once you're done with that, for the discussion for this week, we're just talking about some different arguments. This is an example here. And then I want you to start by telling us a little bit about your topic, just really quickly. And then make some arguments, okay? You do not have to make replies to this, although if you see someone is writing about maybe something that's similar to your topic and you think that they're missing something, feel free, you definitely can do that, but you don't have to. But I'm hoping that this will be like a good place for us to come. And so anybody who is, you know, dealing with poverty, they can come over here and they can check this out and it will maybe give you some ideas. Okay, so that's what I'm hoping with this. And then the annotated bibliography, this is just an example for you to read over. And for the final draft of the annotated bibliography, this is what the rubric looks like. So 6 articles all together, and you get points for doing like the works cited part, the summary part, and then your reaction. So your reaction could just be like 1 sentence, maybe 2, but as long as you have all of those in there and that your summary is, you know, appears to be, you know, what the article is about, then you'll get full points for this. So most people that turn in their annotated bibliography get full points. If you do not get full points, I will ask you to do it again, because this is such an important step in order to do your research paper. And I do want everybody to get the full points for this, because this is a lot of a point. This is 10% of your grade right here. So hopefully everybody can do that. Okay, and then for the research paper, the thesis statement and the outline, I'll be looking at these. And here's another example of an outline. you know, similar to the outline that you saw earlier in the week. It has the introduction, the problem section, the solution section, and then a short conclusion, and just has some, you know, more details here. You probably don't have all of the information yet to put all of the details, but this is where, when you start to write out your outline, it kind of it makes it more clear as to what information you need. Okay, so doing the outline, you sort of need to have some research. You have to have your specific topic and some research questions in mind to start your outline. But then once you start writing your outline, it should be kind of like almost like a first draft, like you're writing through it. You know, when you start it, you don't necessarily know everything that's going to be in it. And then as you start writing it and filling in the different problems and then the different solutions, you know, what are some different solutions, and you're reading about them, then you might think of more research questions. So for example, if you're thinking about, you know, solutions to people smoking cigarettes, you know, making cigarettes illegal. Okay, so why can't we just do that? You know, maybe that seems like an obvious solution when you first start, but then when you start researching it, you see, oh, actually, you know, when you make things illegal, it actually, you know, like the drug war, it actually causes more unintended consequences that we, you know, that we have. So that's not a good solution. So that's how the process should be here. Okay, so you're not necessarily going to know every single thing at this point. When we meet for our conference, then I hope that you have a really detailed outline, or as detailed as possible, and I can help you fill in some of the blanks with the details, help you figure out what else you need, and then hopefully put, you know, push you in the right direction as to what other information you need and where to find it.
Okay. So would we then do more annotated bibliographies for the research that we need?
No, so do not do that. Even if you find, so you just need, for the annotated bibliography, you just need 6, okay? Now, it is very possible and very likely that you'll get your 6 articles, you'll start working on this, and then you'll just be like, oh, I need another article. At that point, if you go back to the databases and find another article, fine. Great, you have to make sure you include that in your works cited, but you do not have to do an annotated bibliography for that one. Okay. And hopefully, especially with your Google skills that you're learning, you might be able to just Google instead of go to the databases. Okay, so that's it for the week. Any last questions?
I think the thing I'm struggling with is what you were just talking about, that we should, like what we've done previously, we should let the research guide us in what we're writing about. But then I'm like, how do we know what exactly to research if we don't have an idea of, you know, the conclusions that we're going to draw or the solutions that we want, or even our arguments?
So usually what ends up happening for students in research papers is they find one really good article and that has most of all of what they need. Okay, and so if you happen to find an article like that, you know, so you're looking for, you know, like women's reproductive rights, for example, if you can find like maybe it's not even a long article, but if you can find one really good article, then that can maybe guide you, and you can kind of use that article as sort of like, you know, how they present it. Or you might have like one article that really describes the problem really well and gives like the history and a lot of different, you know, details and facets and things to think about, but it doesn't have any solutions in it. And then you have to go elsewhere for your solutions. That's also a really common thing too. So if you are, you know, still struggling with this when we meet for the conference, then I think I can help you to, you know, like have a more manageable topic and give you some ideas that way. But, you know, right now, it's a lot. It's a lot of information to kind of keep in your head and juggle. The important thing is to be gathering up your articles and sort of making sure that you're finding articles that maybe you're not reading every single one as you're finding them, but you read the beginning and you think, okay, I can understand this article, because some articles are way too complicated and way too technical. You want to stay away from those, but making sure that that you have articles that give you some information, and then you are going to, I think, develop some ideas from the process of just doing the summaries and forcing yourself to make a reaction, to think about what you really think about this issue. If you force yourself to do that, then I think some of that will become clear as you start going. Okay, but if you still are stuck, then that's what the conference is for. So I will help you at that point. Okay. So I know I'm kind of sending you out into like the, wild, wild west right now. And honestly, this is my first time doing a virtual class and doing a virtual research paper. Although last semester we did the end of it. We started, I think, I'm trying to think. I think we were when we had the shutdown, like May 13th or whatever that was. I think that was right before the final draft of the annotated bibliography is due. So for my last class, we were basically face to face with each other up until this next week, and then it was off after that. So this is different. I do realize that this is different, but I've tried to give you everything that you need and enough practice to just get through this. Okay. Does that make you feel a little bit better, Brianna?
I suppose. I guess I just have to trust the process, because my instincts are telling me to like just use what I already know about the topic to drive my research instead of the other way around.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I believe you.
So if you can kind of have a both minds in that, and that is the hard part, is sort of like, of what you know about the topic, sort of the main driver, but then also being open to when you see something new or something that is maybe surprising, that you can kind of shift a little bit and say, that might be a better topic. So for example, if you start out and you want to do something about women's rights, and then you start like kind of reading, and then you're like, I want to definitely focus on reproductive rights, and then you start looking up that. And you can read about like some famous cases that just like come to mind, like the Roe v. Wade case, or oh gosh, there was another one. I don't know the details of this, but there was something kind of recently with Hobby Lobby, and how with the
birth control thing,
with the Affordable Care Act. Yeah, there was a court case that went through, and I don't know all the details of that, but so that might be something that so that you could talk about that case as well, and then that way. When you start doing your research, you might see that one area kind of takes over, and you suddenly find like all this information and all this good stuff on this one area that you weren't really expecting to find it. Then that's when the real magic happens. Okay. It's not always magical. Research papers are not always magical, but sometimes they are. And you can really learn a lot. So I'm hoping that is the case. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to stop recording.